Hello, Mr. Abid. Lovely to
Senator.
see you and all the SBS and NITV staff here recently. I've got a few questions and I'm conscious of time, so if there's anything you feel you need to take on notice, just let me know. Mr. Abid, what degree of autonomy is afforded NITV?
NITV is afforded a lot of autonomy. We have set the channel up to be completely autonomous in terms of its editorial control. The channel is run by Tanya Orman, as you know, an Indigenous woman. Indeed, 75-80% of the staff who work on NITV are of Indigenous or Torres Strait Islander backgrounds. And when we set the channel up, it was very important to us, and we communicated to the communities that we would always ensure that the channel was run by Indigenous people for Indigenous people. But one of the things that the channel does have to do is obviously work within our SBS codes of practice, codes of guidelines around editorial control in terms of being impartial and fair and all the things that make up our codes. And so that's important because NITV is a public broadcaster and needs to have those disciplines as well.
Do you see it as being broader than just for Indigenous viewers in terms of race relations in Australia?
Oh, absolutely. I think NITV increasingly has a bigger portion of its non-Indigenous viewers, and that is growing, and I think it plays a very big role in helping reconciliation in this country because it's an opportunity for Indigenous stories and cultures to be told to a broader free-to-air market right across Australia. Because again, going back to Senator Di Natale's question, from our research, we know that 6 out of 10 Australians don't have any contact with Indigenous people. So to have that sort of window into an Indigenous culture through free-to-air television, I think is incredibly important for Australia to help with reconciliation.
So how much of the SBS budget goes towards NITV?
When NITV came into SBS in 2012, the budget I think was somewhere, I'll get the exact figure, but somewhere between $16 and $17 million, and that has gone up with normal government CPI over the last few years. But what I am pleased to report to the committee is when NITV came into us, obviously it used to be a separate organisation. They so we were able to save a lot of back office savings and operational costs when it came into SBS, and of that 17 million, we were able to free up $4 million of money that was spent on administration, which has now gone right into content. So we've been able to more than double the channel's content budget because of the fact that it's now part of SBS.
You spoke there just about the 75 to 80% of staff. Could you just explain to the committee how it's broken down in terms of the departments within NITV, say for example with news, current affairs, documentaries? Would you just be able to explain?
So again, maybe I'll take that one on notice. I can get the exact breakdown of the groups, but it would be largely there's a what we call INACA, an Indigenous News and Current Affairs team, a production team for its all its productions, whether it be sports productions, documentaries, children's content, etc. You've then obviously got an online team and a small group in management. Some marketing. I think there's one head in marketing, one head for government relations, etc., which is increasingly important, obviously.
Mr. Abid, would you like to take that question on notice?
Sure.
For the
Senator McCarthy, you took that question.
Yep.
I thought it was a good one to take on notice.
Yep.
Yes.
Now,
Happy
you've
to.
got 2 minutes left. I understood Senator Chisholm was going
Senator
to...
Chisholm, yep. And just in terms of the audience reach of NITV, how is this measured?
Audience reach is measured through the Nielsen ratings that we have for the whole industry. Unfortunately, though, one of the disadvantages that NITV has is that the ratings boxes that we have around the country is actually, we have no rating boxes in the Northern Territory in the top end. So I think it's fair to say that the channel is underrepresented in the reach and audience share figures, and we know that. And so we take a close look at also the online results, and NITV has seen significant increase in our online iNACA and on-demand viewing, which is fantastic, and that's something that we can measure ourselves. But in terms of the TV audiences, we really don't look at it from that perspective because we know it's underrepresented.
Thanks, Mr.